upcoming releases that I'm excited about for April, May, and June. Hi, my name is Jeanette, and I want to thank you for joining me on the channel Jane Reads. So today I'm going to talk about the Christian fiction releases that are coming out in the months of April, May, and June that I have added to my wish list that I am excited for. But before I talk about them, I will kind of address the little elephant in the room. I have changed my bookshelves, and there will be a vlog coming out, hopefully maybe the next video, if not very shortly after that, of the new setup. Okay, so April 2nd, starting out at the very beginning of the month, is Sandcastle Inn by Irene Hannon. This is book number 10 of the Hope Harbor series, and I am working my way through the series. Slowly but surely I will get there. I have book number 8 on my TBR for March. Then I only have one other to read, and then we'll get to this one. So this series is a contemporary romance. In each book we meet new characters to the community and then revisit characters that we've met in previous books. And I'm really enjoying getting to know these new characters as well as kind of catching up with old friends and set in the small town of Hope Harbor. So what is this book about? It says, Vienna Price never intended to return for more than a passing visit to Oregon and all the bad memories she left behind. But when your career tanks, home is where you go to nurse your wounds and chart a new course. Only temporarily, of course, because as much as she loves her quirky mom, anything more than a short stay would drive them both crazy. A trip to Oregon isn't in Matt Quinn's plans either, until a perfectly timed appeal for help arrives from his sister. What better place to decompress after a shattering loss than a quiet seaside town named Hope Harbor? But R&R isn't on the agenda when he arrives to find his sister's new enterprise on life support. Vienna, however, may just have the skills needed to resurrect the floundering B&B if Matt can convince her to hang around long enough to mend the inn, and possibly his heart. Should be a nice, sweet romance. Okay, on April the 9th is The British Booksellers by Kristy Cambron. This is a historical fiction set in London, England. That is a buzzword for me, and this cover, I just love this cover. So it says, it is inspired by real accounts of the forgotten Blitz bombings. The British Booksellers highlights the courage of those whose lives were forever changed by war, and the stories that bind us in the fight for what matters most. A tenant farmer's son had no business daring to dream of a future with an earl's daughter, but that couldn't keep Amos from his secret friendship with Charlotte, until the reality of the Great War sobered youthful dreams. Now, decades later, he bears the brutal scars of battles fought in the trenches and their futures that were stolen away. His return home doesn't come with tender reunions, but with the hollow fulfillment of opening a bookshop on his own and retreating as a recluse within its walls. When the future Earl of Harcourt chose Charlotte to be his wife, she knew she was destined for a loveless match. Though her heart had chosen another long ago, she pledges her future even as her husband goes to war. 25 years later, Charlotte remains a war widow who divides her days between her late husband's declining estate and operating a quaint Coventry bookshop, Eden Books, lovingly named after her grown daughter. And Amos is nothing more than a rival bookseller across the lane. As war with Hitler looms, Eden is determined to preserve her father's legacy. So when an American solicitor arrives threatening a lawsuit that could destroy everything they've worked so hard to preserve, mother and daughter prepare to fight back. But with devastation wrought by the Lafaitte's local blitz terrorizing the skies, battling bookshops, and lost loves, Amos and Charlotte must put aside their differences and fight together to help Coventry survive. Wait, it's not set in London? I need to read this one, find out. I thought it was set in London. Why did I think that? Is Coventry part of London, like a suburb of London? Is it... What was I thinking? I guess I will read it and find out. Thankfully, I do have an advanced reader copy of this book from NetGalley, so I plan on reading it this month before it releases. Hopefully. We'll see. And then I will know for sure where it is set. Okay, let's move into... Oh, nope, I was going to say move into May, but I have another April book. Okay, and this one is The Vanished by Cara Putman. It is a romantic suspense. I have read Cara Putman before and really enjoyed. She is a lawyer and a law school professor, and so it usually has a lawyer in the book, which I really enjoy reading about. I know, weird obsession, I'm sure. So Jane Simmons left the small town of Kedwick, Virginia 10 years ago to pursue her legal career and never looked back, until a professional mistake leads her to her grandmother's historic carriage house and to the town where her past threatens to find her. The quaint streets echo with her grandfather's sterling reputation, one that conflicts with fresh questions that claw at Jane, launching her on a reluctant journey to unearth his secrets. When her new job at a local law firm doesn't live up to expectations, she wonders if coming home was the right decision. Carter Montgomery starts his art preservation career with the only job he can get, director at the Elliott Museum of Art. At least Kedwick is a small enough town to provide him and his nephew with a safe place to grieve the loss of Carter's sister. But Carter's calm days disappear when an elderly woman claims 2 paintings in the museum's collection were stolen from her family during World War II. Carter enlists Jane's help to unravel the legal labyrinth of art ownership, and the peaceful facade of Kedwick morphs into a hotbed of secrets. When an attorney turns up dead and Jane uncovers another painting, what began as a simple legal issue spirals into a race against time. As the web of intrigue tightens, the duo must confront a looming question. What dark truths lie beneath the surface, waiting to be exposed? Like mysteries, secrets being revealed? Yeah, I'm intrigued. And I just realized that the 3 books I picked for April are a contemporary, a historical, and a romantic suspense. Like, nice. My 3 favorite genres. Okay, let's move on to May. So on May the 7th, I have 2 books releasing. The first one is Love on a Whim by Suzanne Woods Fisher. This is book number 3 of the Cape Cod Creamery series. I have not read books 1 and book 2 yet, but I'm waiting to read them until book 3 is released so I can kind of binge the series. I love the covers on these books. And the thought, like just the sound of a Cape Cod setting, yeah, I'm intrigued. So this one says, Bryn Haywood's impulsive marriage to a man she'd known less than 24 hours leaves her with deep regret. So she flees to Cape Cod, finding refuge with her local friend Dawn Dixon. As Bryn grapples with her emotions, Dawn acts swiftly, eager to help secure a lawyer for her through her mother Marnie's good friend Lincoln Hayes. However, Lincoln's preoccupation with his daughter's lavish wedding brings unexpected challenges. The arrival of Lincoln's estranged son, Bear Hayes, stirs the waters further. Alarmed by his father's extravagant generosity toward the Dixon family, Bear ignites friction between Marnie and Lincoln. As the wedding day arrives, Lincoln vanishes, and an unwelcome guest makes a surprise appearance. Who appears? Gotta read it to find out. And a wedding setting, like that's just, yeah. I'm looking forward to that one. Okay, and then the next book that's also releasing on May the 7th is Secondary Target by Angela Carlisle. This is a romantic suspense. This is a debut author, so I've never read anything by her. She hasn't published anything before. But the cover drew me in, so that I read the description, and I saw that this was blurred by Lynn H. Blackburn. I was like, okay, I'm fully intrigued now. I love Lynn H. Blackburn. I've only read one series by her and a novella, but I love it. Okay, what is this book about? After the brutal murder of her mother and brother 12 years ago, Karina Roberts built a new life in Kentucky. But then strange things begin to happen, and she is thrust into a game of life and death. With nowhere else to turn, her best hope of survival depends on her ex, Army veteran Bryce Jessup. Recently returned from service, Bryce has every intention of staying away from Karina. But when threats close in around her, he isn't willing to leave her safety to chance. As their search for answers uncovers lethal secrets her detective father kept hidden, Bryce and Karina must untangle the mystery of the merciless killer intent on terrorizing and eliminating Karina's family before it's too late. Like, suspense-filled? Sure sounds it. Okay, and then, now we have a contemporary romance coming out on May the 14th. It is another book 3 of a series, and I'm sure a lot of people kind of know what this book is, this one I've heard a lot about, is Loyally Luke by Pepper Basham. So it is book 3 of the Skymar series, and it features Luke, obviously. So we met Luke in book 1, which is Authentically Izzy, and I'm just going to read part of the blurb on the back because I don't want to give too much of it away. But I enjoyed reading this section of it. A flannel-wearing man's man finds himself living out all the rom-com movie tropes as he falls in love with a true blue princess. Luke isn't a romantic, or at least he's always felt certain things like rom-coms were invented as punishment for the average guys. Besides, he's always preferred to be behind-the-scenes guy who lives a quiet life being a good friend, neighbor, and brother. So when he travels to the island of Skymar to work for a few months on restoring abandoned buildings, he never expects to find himself directly in the middle of a romantic, trope-filled story. From a meet-cute that was anything but cute, and an aging orphanage in need of as much tender care as the children it houses, Luke begins to wonder if he and his heart may be victims of some sort of hidden camera movie moment. I am intrigued. Luke was probably one of my favorite characters from Authentically Izzy, so I cannot wait till this book. So let's move into June. On June the 18th, Born of Gilded Mountains by Amanda Dykes is releasing. I have never read an Amanda Dykes book, but I have heard a lot of good praise for her books, and when I saw the cover, I fell in love. I love the cover. Then I read the description. It was like, I found out where it was set. I'm like, okay, I want to read this one. It is a historical fiction, and it says, when newcomer Mercy arrives in Mercy Peak in 1948, after scandal shatters her gilded world as Hollywood's beloved leading lady, she is determined to forge a new life in obscurity in this time-forgotten Colorado haven. She purchases Wildwood, an abandoned estate with a haunting history, and begins to restore it to its former glory. But as she does, her every move tugs at the threads of the mountain's lore, unearthing what became of her long-lost pen pal Rusty and the whereabouts of the infamous Galloping Goose engine No. 8, which vanished years ago, along with the mailbag it carried, whose contents could change the course of countless lives. Not to mention another fabled treasure that, if found, could right so many wrongs. After the towering mountains that stand as silent witnesses, the ghosts of the past entangle with the courage of the present to find a place where healing, friendship, and hope can abide amid a world forever changed. Okay, so those are the 5, 6, 7 books coming out in the next 3 months. 3 months. That I am excited about and that I've added to my wish list. I am sure I have missed some books that are coming out in the next 3-month period. I'm positive of it. So if you have a book that you're really excited about coming out, please leave that in the comments below. Or if I've intrigued you about any of these books and you want to add them to your wish list as well, let me know that as well. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I would love it if you would like and subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for future videos. Thank you. Bye.